So, the sheet behind us.
Yes.
We indulged. We considered going through the process of getting a babysitter and going to the movie theater and paying way more money to see Black Widow.
Without the ability to drink and smoke.
So we decided to bite the bullet and just pay the $30 for premiere access, which I'm kind of against, but I mean, we can watch it anytime now.
Yeah.
And we got to watch it outside and drink and smoke. Projected it onto the sheet. It was fun.
It was fun. We had a little drive-in theater experience.
So
Had a couple snags, but we got there.
yeah.
Projector died twice as we were setting. Like, literally, I was about 10 seconds away from hitting play, and the projector died because it's at its limit for the lamp. And then I was like, okay, and I got that working. I was like, all right, I'm going to kill the lights. I pulled the plug on the lights, and it killed the circuit. Everything went off. I was like,
Dude, I knew that was going to happen.
I knew that was going to... And I really did have that thought, because sometimes you unplug the lights, and everything dies. And, of course, killing the circuit effed up the projector again, and it went red lamp again. I was like, we're going to give this one more try, and if the lamp dies at all, we'll just switch the laptop. But it held out. We got to have our theater experience. It was a lot of fun.
And it was a good movie, but I'm glad we didn't have to pay exorbitant amounts of money for it.
I mean, we did, but not...
Not the babysitter and the movie tickets and the snacks and the drinks.
Yeah, and the post-movie drinks.
Yeah.
Because our whole assessment thing started with us going out to movies. Well, I don't know if it started with movies or if it started with shows. But
movies.
I think it started with movies. We would go out to a movie, and then we'd go to Applebee's, we would have a Long Island iced tea, and we would say assessment. And so here we are. So.
Assessment.
Definitely enjoyed it. Enjoyed the absolute hell out of it. Had a lot of nice references to the story because, of course, this takes place after Civil War. So it's several movies behind. It's this weird throwback kind of a movie, but it's been in production hell forever.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out last summer.
Okay.
Or, I think it was supposed... Was it supposed to come out in March?
Maybe. If it was last year, it was early last year. And
Yeah.
Things happened. We got more knowledge into Natasha's backstory, obviously. Some of her more haunting things. I was hoping we would find out her whole thing with Clint in Budapest. We didn't get that. But
we'll get there.
we got there.
So, yeah, it takes place after Civil War. Thaddeus Ross is coming after her, and he didn't actually have as big of a role.
No.
Showed up at the beginning and at the very end. Basically, it starts off, Natasha's on the run. She's got this friend who gets her, fake IDs and sets her up in a remote location.
Yeah,
Trailer.
I feel like I could have stood a little bit more information into this guy. It's just kind of I have a guy who hooks me up with technology and fake IDs, and I don't really have to pay necessarily.
I think she does, but...
She does. He's like, you're running up your tab.
Yeah. So she's in Norway in this trailer. Her inside guy actually brought her like a box of stuff from the Budapest safe house. Meanwhile, we had, well, so the movie starts with, it's Ohio 1995, and it's Natasha when she's like, 10, 11.
10. Okay.
Because when we know from Winter Soldier, when she and Steve went to that Zola thing, and he says, born 1984, whatever her birthday was, 1984, so it's my age. So, she was like
28, 29.
Well, right, but in Ohio, she was like 11. And she's got a little sister, and you've got Rachel Weisz as her mom, and David Harbour as her dad, and they have to go on the run very quickly, and
it's a nice aging effect, by the way, too.
Mm-hmm. Basically, Natasha and her sister Elena were orphans. Well, they were told they were orphans, and Natasha was told her mom like just abandoned her on the street like trash, and so they're being raised by this couple who's not really a couple. Like it's kind of like an Americans sort of situation. I've never seen the show, but it's they're Russian spies.
They're Russian spies who were their mission is in Ohio. I don't know if they actually had any kind of investigation they had to do into studying American politics or anything like that, or if it was all about prepping these kids.
Well, and it was Milena, Rachel Weisz's character. They were infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D., which was Hydra.
Sure, okay.
So, this awesome opening sequence where you basically see Natasha getting chosen for the Red Room project. Like, and then they basically put out these female assassins who are all Black Widows.
Right, which was a little bit of a sticking point for me.
For you.
Yeah, as the movie goes on, she encounters these other widows who are all similarly trained. They're all assassins. It's this weird, like, women's assassin squad, which you can explain to me as far as early Black Widow goes. Like, she is a sexy spy. Like, that's kind of her thing. She infiltrates places because the guys don't pay attention to her credentials, just go, And so I get that, but this entire squad of female assassins is just a little weird. And I also thought that it kind of undercut what makes Black Widow special, because they all fight as well as she does. They're all, like, similarly trained and as good at their job as she is, and it's just kind of like, oh.
And it's headed by this guy,
Draco.
Dreykov.
Was it Dreykov?
Dreykov.
That sounds more Russian-y.
Yeah, Draco is from Harry Potter.
No, I know. I thought they were saying Draco.
Oh, that's Dreykov or something like that. So while Natasha's going into hiding following the events of Civil War, her sister is now obviously grown, and she's an assassin, and she is going after this woman with a briefcase, like a tiny little briefcase, and she kills this woman, like just drives a knife into her and twists it. And then with like her last breath, this woman like
red pills her
basically, like shoots off this red chemical into Elena's face, and it untriggers her.
And she instantly goes, what have I done? And she uses her name. I don't remember her name, the dead woman's name. And she's like, what have I done? Are you okay? I'm going to help you. And the woman gives her these red cartridges and says, free the others.
So, basically, the Black Widows are now not only being, like, brainwashed, but they're also being chemically mind controlled. And so, Natasha's guy on the inside brings her this box of junk from the Budapest safe house, which we find out later was the same place where she and Clint had been, because there were some holes in the wall, and Elena's like,
what kind of bullet makes those holes?
and she's like, those are arrows.
Which makes sense. I mean, she and Clint talk about Budapest all the time.
Budapest.
I'm going to say Budapest.
So Natasha's like just kind of doing her thing. She's watching movies. She had gotten a box of blonde hair dye. She's like, okay. And then the power goes out. The generator was shit. So she's going to go into town and, get what she needs for the generator. And her car gets fucking blown up.
Yeah.
And we get introduced to Taskmaster.
Yeah, and that was like the most, first of all, that was like the most badass hatchback I've ever seen, because it gets just blasted, rolls, and like gets thrown to the edge of a bridge, and I don't know, she was fine. That car had like 7-star safety rating or something like that, but yeah, so we're introduced to this thing called Taskmaster with a cool skull mask sort of a deal.
Kind of Darth Vader-y.
A little Darth Vader-y, a little Cylon with the red beam going across the eyes, and it's kind of implied that it's robotic. They talk about employ the Taskmaster protocol, and I think even before it attacks her, we see somebody inserting a chip into the back of its head, and occasionally we see through its eyes it like is calculating the attack points and doing all this stuff, but it mimics all the different fight styles of the Avengers.
Well, of the person that it's fighting.
The person that is fighting, but, I mean, the way it uses the shield...
Yeah, it was...
It studies. That's what it is. It can mimic you as it's fighting you, but it studies...
Because he did the shield flip thing like that, Bucky and...
Mm-hmm. And it has a shield, and it throws the shield like Steve does. But so it can watch film of these fighters and take on their styles.
I don't think it was Steve. I think it was Bucky, because they mentioned at one point the Winter Soldier initiative.
They did. Okay.
So, anyway, Natasha realizes that this thing isn't after her, it's after something she has.
Yes.
It's the briefcase with the red cartridges. She nabs the cartridges, leaves the briefcase, takes a dive, and nestled within these cartridges are these pictures that she gave to Elena of her and Elena when they were kids.
Yeah. So
that leads her to Budapest, and great fight scene with her sister, adopted sister, foster, whatever you want to call her.
Brutal, too.
Yeah.
Like, they employ some serious damage on each other. Natasha's kind of trying to downplay the situation, and Elena, like, pulls out a freaking blade and looks like she's trying to actually kill her.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the motivation there was, but...
Yeah, because she's the one that told her... Well, didn't tell her to go there. She's like, you brought it here? Yes, because Natasha doesn't know what these cartridges are.
Right.
But yeah, and they fight to a stalemate.
Yeah, so they we get the info on what's going on. Natasha thought she had killed this Dragoff guy in an explosion. Turns out she had to kill his young daughter. So that's her red.
Yeah, that's her haunting past. Aside from, I'm sure, countless contract killings, but
But that's the big one for her because she had to do that in order to defect to Shield.
right. And she was blowing up the building that he was in, and she had to confirm he was in it by seeing his daughter walk into it. It was like, okay, she went to where her dad is. He's definitely in there. Blow it.
But there was no body.
There's nobody. And we never really got an explanation for how he survived that.
Well, he's an asshole, so.
Ah, asshole power. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a thing.
So, she wants to find the Red Room to take down this guy and end this whole thing. They have to go to their father, Alexei,
Right, the guy that was raising them in
David
Ohio.
Harbour, who was just fucking awesome in this. He's in prison, and they break him out. But it's funny because, like, before he gets broken out, he's doing these, because he's a super soldier. Forgot to mention that before.
He was the Russian Captain America, the Red Guardian.
And he keeps talking about my nemesis,
Captain
Captain
America.
America. And so he's like, oh, I threw him out a window, blah, blah, blah. And the guy he's arm wrestling is like, when did you do this?
1984? I don't know, something like that.
And the guy's like, when he was under the ice. He's like, you calling me a liar?
So yeah, he was, again, the USSR, is the Soviet Captain America, super soldier, built in the same mold as Captain America, but he talks about him
And
as...
Winter Soldier.
And Winter Soldier. He talks about them as if they were nemesis or whatever, but they never actually were active at the same time.
Brainwashed. Or maybe not even brainwashed. I mean, Bucky was brainwashed. This guy was like...
Alexei just seemed to enjoy his job.
Well, and he's national pride and all that.
Yeah,
you know. So they break him out. They're trying to get info on the Red Room. He's like, I don't know where it is, but Melina does.
Melina, who was the mom in Ohio.
And they're like, she's alive. And she is alive training pigs or something. So they go to talk to her. It's this whole big thing that, a lot of shit comes out. But Melina had alerted the Red Room of their arrival. And Melina, knocks out Natasha, takes them to the Red Room.
And Elena.
And Elena takes them to the Red Room. And they're imprisoned. Elena goes and talks to Dreykov. But plot twist.
Plot twist.
It was the face thing, and it was Natasha all along. She and Melina,
had
hatched a plan.
hatched a plan. When she told her that I alerted the Red Room, immediately, even though the scene cut, immediately after that, they had a conversation, devised a plan, dressed up as each other, did a face switch thing.
She only has one earpiece, so they give it to Elena to, get her on board with the plan after the fact. So Alexei is, in the dark. He's like trying to have this, real
Heart to
heart with Natasha. He's like, oh, she didn't hear it, and then he like tries to talk to her, and Melina's like, no, she can't hear you.
You don't have an earpiece. What? Why?
And I mentioned this. It's kind of funny to me because David Harbour, he's playing Alexei, and he's in Russia.
Yeah.
And Hopper, in Stranger Things, is apparently now in Russia for season 4.
And likely imprisoned with a beard, which is how we...
Also, wasn't Alexei the name of the Russian guy that they were...
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of funny. Anyway.
Stranger Things is all spoilers for Marvel. Who knew?
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, perhaps.
If Stranger Things doesn't make some like Red Guardian reference next season, I'm just gonna be sad.
I don't know how they could do it, but I want them to do it. I will interject at this point. I wasn't sure when I was going to say it, but David Harbour, really fun actor, and I really enjoyed watching him on screen. But good golly, this movie did have a lot of girl power, and the one super soldier in the entire movie is this bumbling idiot.
Sure.
And like
It was an engaging enough movie for me that I didn't really feel that, but I get what you're saying for sure.
I felt it. It didn't stop me from enjoying the movie. It did not. I really enjoyed the movie.
But I mean, I think that's kind of the point, and not like, you know, a girl power thing, but it's like these women are being women are being victimized, and
sure, there was a heavy human trafficking implication in this movie, and I'm glad for that.
but yeah, like it wasn't obnoxiously like girl power. Let's put it this way. Between Black Widow movie and Captain Marvel, Black Widow's way better.
Black Widow is way better.
Because
Yes.
Captain Marvel, at the end of the day, she didn't have any character flaws or anything that she had to overcome.
Straight up Mary Sue.
Yeah. Natasha, I mean, we already knew she had a past.
Yeah, it wasn't an origin story. It was. It wasn't, but
Yeah, but, you know, and you got, like, Elena and Milena, which, by the way, that was confusing. You know, they've been brainwashed. They had to fight against that. Like, that's an actual struggle, not just people just keep trying to keep me down sort of thing. It's like, no, like, this is an actual issue. And again, it gets into the trafficking thing. So it didn't feel pandering.
sure. I think the brainwashing too was part of what triggered me about the girl power thing, because it was like, there are no female villains at all. Like, all of the first half of the movie is like, female assassins are, you know, killing other women and all these horrible things, and Melina's a traitor, and it was like, no, they were all really actually good. And then even like all of the female assassins are red pilled, the red stuff.
Yeah.
And they like instantly all are good people. Like none of them.
Well, they just got disengaged from a chemical mindfuck.
So they'd be pretty against it.
Yeah.
Against the.
But we don't know. We don't know what they're gonna end up doing.
True. End credits. Spoiler alert. A bit there.
Yeah, but I mean, the rest of the movie. I mean, there's a lot of action. Basically, Natasha downloads this information of all the Black Widow assassins, and she frees Taskmaster from her confines, because Taskmaster is actually the daughter that she thought she had killed.
Right.
But she red pulls her and frees her.
Ha! You had mentioned that she was very Darth Vader. Mask comes off, burnt up face.
You know, so that, I mean, all's well that ends well. It's fine. Then
They all survive.
yeah, and then Thaddeus Ross and his cavalry.
Haha.
He was like, "Hey,
May? Melinda May's coming? Hell yeah!
They show up and Natasha's like, you guys go, I'll stay.
Oh, May would have made a great widow. Right? Yeah, she sends the family off.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks later, she meets up with her supplier guy again. She's got blonde hair. He gets her a Quinjet.
Sure looked like a Quinjet to me.
And she's like, I've got 2 families now. Got to go patch up one of them. Takes off. Avengers theme music. It's great.
Ta-da.
Credits roll. And then the end credits. Elena gets out of the car with a dog that she calls Fanny. That's notable because one of the names of her aliases that her hookup got her was Fanny Longbottom.
Yeah.
As far as we know, that guy and Natasha were the only ones that knew about that name.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few things that could go down. Either Natasha told Elena about one of these aliases. Elena is working with the supplier guy.
Or there's the fan theory.
The fan theory that Elena is actually Natasha. That they
face swapped.
And the person who died at Voromir was Elena. Mm-hmm. It was a little far-fetched, but I think it was very notable that she named the dog Fanny.
Named the dog Fanny. We had a face swap in the movie. This fan theory existed before this movie was out.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that they pulled a face swap in this movie, very notable. We've already had characters...
Natasha.
Fake deaths with shapeshifters.
Oh, yeah.
So
Elena is at Natasha's gravesite. It's very touching, and then you hear like this huge honking noise.
Nose blow.
And it's Val from fucking Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier. And she's like, do you want to, basically at this point, Elena is working for Val's initiative. Mm-hmm. She's already, at this point, I don't know if she's already gotten John Walker. I don't know where this is in that timeline.
Me neither. I mean, they could have... They only just released it yesterday, so they could have added that post-credit scene whenever they wanted.
Yeah.
But
she's like, you want to know who's responsible for your sister's death? And she already said something, Elena said something about, you got to increase my pay. And Val's like, okay, yeah, when they increase mine. She's like, you want to know who's responsible for your sister's death? Hands her an iPad. Picture of Clint. Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And one of the projects that's coming out soon, I'm not sure when it's coming out, is Hawkeye.
Miniseries, I believe.
I'm not sure on that. I don't know when it's coming out, but they're setting shit up. Mm-hmm. And they haven't completely quashed the fan theory.
Yep.
They're actually...
They fan that flame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Heavily.
For sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like... I think I would be disappointed if they actually followed through with that fan theory, but I like that they're playing with it.
Yeah, because that scene in Endgame would lose a lot of weight. I mean, I guess R.I.P. Elena, potentially. But, Yeah, and she was cool and all that stuff.
Well, and I think it's interesting that in Endgame, well, because then in Endgame, Natasha's hair was blonde at the bottom but red on top.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
And Elena is blonde.
Naturally blonde.
So,
Seems to be.
yeah.
That would seem to be against it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
But anyway, it was a really good movie, really enjoyable.
Yes.
Honestly, I think my favorite part was the end credits. Like, the movie itself was good, but the end credits, it's kind of like that. It's the Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Well, and it
thing.
tied it into current events, too,
Yeah.
because it's the timing of this movie is so weird. 'Cause it takes place in 2016. You know, you've got this single hero movie after canonically they're already dead. So it's like, what are you going to tell me? What are you going to give me? And the post-credit scene was really the only thing that tied it into current events. So that was the moment that was like, what's going to happen?
Well, and it's the Thunderbolts thing.
Yeah. Thunderbolts being Val's little initiative.
Well, Ross's initiative, really.
Sure.
But, so, yeah, enjoyable. I really liked it. I thought it was worth the $30.
With the whole experience.
With the whole experience, yeah. And now we can like new rock stars this shit.
Yep. That's the plan.
So.
Shall we then?
Yeah.
All right.